done!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So,
Hi, it's time for Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get the show started. Right, on the show today, it has not been a good weekend for Pakistan. The men's cricket team are all but out of the ICC Champions Trophy. It's all down to mathematical calculations from this point on. They succumbed to a humbling loss to arch rivals India, leaving fans enraged and former Pakistani cricketers seething, saying this Pakistan cricket setup is clueless and brainless. We get you all the reactions from the meltdown. And what about back home? Pakistan said they would extend their hospitality to all the visiting countries during the tournament, but seems like they extended that to the country that refused to travel as well. The Indian national anthem was mistakenly played out before the Australia-England game over the weekend in Lahore. Who's at fault here? And we're speaking of hostility as well. Britain booed Max Verstappen during the F1 launch event at the O2 Arena in London. He was jeered by the audience, who greeted Hamilton with a huge applause instead. Why the anti-Verstappen sentiments rising in UK? We get you a deep dive. But first, a look at the headlines on Sports 360. Starting with cricket, Virat Kohli became the fastest to score 14,000 ODI runs. This was during the 100-run unbeaten knock against Pakistan at the Champions Trophy last night. The Indian batter breached the 14,000-run mark in 287 innings. The previous record was held by India's Sachin Tendulkar, who did it in 350 innings. Kohli is now the third batter after Sachin Tendulkar and Kumar Sangakkara to reach this milestone. On to football. Real Madrid beat Girona 2-0 in La Liga. Goals from Luka Modric and Vinicius Jr. saw the home side dominate the game. With the win, Madrid are now level with table toppers Barcelona at 54 points. Meanwhile, in the Premier League, Manchester City's poor run continued against Liverpool. Pep Guardiola's side lost the match 2-0. Mohamed Salah's goal was enough for Liverpool to stay on top of the points table. City's top four finish looks very dicey now after this loss. In tennis, Mira Andreeva became the youngest winner of the WTA 1000 title. The 17-year-old beat Clara Toussaint in the straight sets at the Dubai Tennis Championship. The Russian is also the second teenager to win the Dubai title. The only other to do so is Rafael Nadal, who managed to win this in 2006 at the age of 19. Pakistan succumbed to yet another loss in the ICC Champions Trophy, but this one would hurt the most. It would sting because they were outplayed in every department, and that too to their rivals, India. You almost feel for them. The hosts of an ICC event for the first time in nearly 30 years will not make it past the group stage in all likelihood. They will be mere spectators if things go as is norm, as four top teams, including the one that beat them last night, will end up progressing to the semi-final. The Indians, of course, had much reason to celebrate, and they did so right after that win and that Virat Kohli masterclass 100. Those visuals there have to be salt on the wounds of Pakistani cricketers and fans who were devastated after the match last night. Pakistan batted like they were playing test cricket, racked up one dot ball after another without understanding the need to keep the scoreboard ticking. The top four of that Pakistani batting lineup failed to deliver. Much has to be expected from a talent such as Babar Azam, a senior player who needed to be there to show his talent and relevance. And considering how important this match really was, he failed to stand up when it mattered the most. The captain, Mohammad Rizwan, led from the front by being one of the top scorers, but at what cost really? He and Saud Shakil laboured in that partnership. that ended up doing more damage than really help the side. And it was when it was time for them to defend their total, they just did not put any pressure on the opposition, not with the ball and certainly not on the field. Dropped catches proved to be costly. They dropped Shubman Gill and Shreyas Iyer as they started out. Even though these two batters eventually were dismissed, the dropped catches basically took away all pressure from India. The momentum was clearly away from Pakistan. Fans watching in the stadiums, on television sets at home were furious. You could see the frustration and their expressions really spelt it all out. We saw this build up in them for months now. They look like they've given up on this Pakistani side. The internet witnessed a massive meltdown. One person, of course, saying it's gone beyond anger and now there is a sense of numbness. If there is one person I really truly feel for, it has to be the Pakistan cricket fan. The cricket team and the system has clearly let them all down. And if you know the Pakistan fan base, of how cruel and harsh they really can be, how they've criticized their own players in the past, you also know they will pull out all stops in bringing out the criticism through memes as well. And there were plenty of those floating around.
चेंज करते हुआ बंदा पाकिस्तान का बंदा पहन रहा है इंडिया की जर्सी हाय पहन पहन करो
Skipper Rizwan, who himself couldn't hold back from showing his dejection on the field on many occasions, did not mince words at the press conference post the defeat. He clearly said Pakistan had played horribly and did not deserve to qualify for the semi-final. They now had to rely on other results.
Look, honestly, we made the same mistakes that we have been making in the past 4 matches. Maybe they were more brave than us, and that's why they got this result. And we made mistakes.
But the worst reaction has to be reserved for those who were part of a glorious, threatening Pakistan lineup in the past, a team that the world feared and was scared to take on. Former cricketers lashed out at the current side for showing zero intent on the field.
I am not disappointed at all, because I knew that would happen. You can't select 5 bowlers. The whole world is playing 6 bowlers. This is just brainless and clueless management.
Shoaib Akhtar, of course, blasted the Pakistan think tank, and many of his fellow teammates are crying hoarse, looking at a cowering performance of a team that won this very tournament in 2017. But the truth is, the match last night showed that there is a world of a difference between this Pakistan team and India. They are not an even contest anymore, not on paper and definitely not on the field. Sure, there were some bright sparks like that flying catch Imamul Haq took, but way towards the end of that match when it really did not count, or that Shubman Gill dismissal by Abrar in what could be the ball of the tournament. But a swallow doesn't make a summer and a spark won't give light. This Pakistan team is simply nowhere close to the quality of cricket that India has displayed. That mother of all battles tag is shredding and very fast. Pakistan cricketers need to get back to the drawing board, especially when it comes to their performance in the big events, the ICC tournaments. They've been abysmal in all 3 ICC tournaments in the last 3 years, in 3 consecutive years. If this isn't a wake-up call, what is? Pakistan has a lot to battle. On one hand, the cricket team is in shambles. Their run in the Champions Trophy all but over. It has been a disappointing run for the country. And outside the cricket field too, things don't seem to be going all too well either. The management continues to make blunders, and it isn't just about failing to pick the right side. In the latest mishap, Pakistan is getting mocked for playing India's national anthem. It happened during a pre-match ICC ritual where the national anthems of the contesting teams are played out. And given India isn't travelling to Pakistan, isn't playing in Pakistan, the goof-up during the match between Ashes rivals England and Australia in Lahore over the weekend surprised everyone. Instead of Australia's Advance Australia Fair, the Lahore stadium echoed with Jana Gana Mana. While the mistake only lasted for a few seconds, it was enough for the social media to get one more reason to taunt Pakistan. Now, this is not the first time that there's been a faux pas regarding the host country playing a national anthem. Pakistan have become part of a pretty infamous list in this regard. Over at the Paris Olympics last year, Sudan's anthem was played during a basketball match between South Sudan and Puerto Rico. In 2018, at the AFC Under-19 Championship in Indonesia, the organizers mixed North Korea with that of South Korea. At the IIHF World Championship in 2017, hosts Germany and France played Slovenia's anthem during Slovakia's game. And China too finds itself part of this list. In 2014, at the World Artistic Gymnastic Championship, they played the anthem of Uzbekistan instead of Ukraine. The list is of course longer than this, but these are some of the most prominent ones. So clearly, this isn't the first instance of a mistake being committed over a matter regarding the national anthem being played out. And yes, these things, while they shouldn't really happen, they are brushed aside owing to human error after, of course, a few apologies are given in. But the reason this one has snowballed into a larger matter is because it involves India and Pakistan. The political turmoil that these two countries are involved in has made the situation obviously more intense. Add to this India's reluctance to travel to Pakistan over security concerns, something that Pakistan were not too happy about, but had no other option really but to agree to that hybrid model. And it was keeping that very thing in mind that the PCB decided not to hoist the Indian flag on one of the structures of the Karachi stadium that a fan caught wind of, and that, of course, that video went viral. Only the flags of 7 teams were put out at that point, and a PCB source reportedly told a huge media outlet that it was no error. That they only decided to recognize and put up the flags of the countries that were playing their matches in Pakistan and had not refused to travel there. They, of course, rectified this by including the Indian national flag once the tournament kicked off. But coming back to the issue of the Indian anthem being wrongly played out, reports say the PCB has blamed the ICC, the International Cricket Council, for the error and have asked them for an official clarification. The only heartwarming aspect coming out of this entire story is that for those few seconds that the Indian anthem was played out mistakenly, it was met with loud cheers. Somewhere you really feel for the Pakistani fans who love the sport, who have been waiting to watch India and some of the star Indian players play in their own country. The common people, the common Pakistan fans seem to be the biggest losers for absolutely no fault of theirs. But Pakistan has much to do to ensure a smoother rest of the tournament from here on. They jumped too many hoops to get this going in the first place, delayed stadium renovations, some of which still received flack even as the tournament started. Controversial incidents on the field of play, a lack of crowd coming in to cheer their own national side. These are big, glaring issues that PCB need to tackle. What they can do to ensure a packed stadium with fans enjoying good quality cricket like the one between England and Australia, that's what the Pakistan Cricket Board really needs to focus on and crack. Formula One's pre-season testing is set to start this week, and the buzz is still around Lewis Hamilton and what his debut season with the Ferrari will look like. While the Brit and his new team are getting all the love and attention from across the world and Formula One fans all over, the defending world champion Max Verstappen and his team Red Bull are facing all the heat. During the F1 launch event in London's O2 Arena last week, Verstappen and Red Bull's team principal, Christian Horner, were greeted with loud boos. The British-dominated crowd weren't too friendly when Red Bull and their drivers took the stage. And in a contrasting scene, Hamilton was the only one getting all the applause. The four-time world champion is threatening to boycott a set of F1 events in the coming future. Why so much hate for a world champion Verstappen? Our next report tells you more.
Max Verstappen's 2024 F1 season was a mixed affair. He might have defended the Drivers' World Championship and won his fourth consecutive title, but he failed to win the Constructors' Trophy with Red Bull. But a lot of what happened in the sidelines is probably what got more attention than his performances or lack of it on the racetracks. While the controversy surrounding Christian Horner threw Red Bull under the scanner anyway, Verstappen did his bit to riddle many feathers along the way. From getting punished for swearing during a press conference at the Singapore Grand Prix, to threatening deliberately crashing into Mercedes driver George Russell at the Qatar Grand Prix, Verstappen had a series of feuds that didn't exactly make him one of the most liked figures among the F1 fan base. Will things change for the fresh season though? The F1 launch event at London's O2 Arena said otherwise. Verstappen and Red Bull were booed at the launch, and an FIA that has otherwise been critical of Verstappen defended the driver. The booing doesn't come as a surprise given the event was happening in Britain. Because Verstappen's success has come at a price of Britain's beloved Hamilton losing out on championship titles in the past few years, especially the narrow loss in 2021 by 8 points. And it isn't just Hamilton this time. Verstappen targeted another one of Britain's rising stars, George Russell, last year. He reportedly bullied Russell and even called the driver a liar during the whole Qatar Grand Prix fallout, which has made him a marked man in the UK. But is that the only reason behind these anti-Verstappen sentiments? His lack of Brittanness and more of bitterness? Well, not really, because it wasn't just Verstappen who was booed. Red Bull's team principal Christian Horner too received an ugly reception. Someone who is as British as one can get. But the noise involving allegations of sexual misconduct with one Red Bull's female employee has not really died down. Which proves that Verstappen facing heat is more than just down to his nationality or his own misdemeanors. The hostility towards Verstappen has also grown because of the Red Bull driver constantly questioning the British media to the extent of even mocking them.
The problem in F1 is that 80 to 85% of the media is British. And I did feel that some things which were written about me were not fair. I just had to laugh about what was said. I was like, whatever.
What this Verstappen statement did was insult the 80 to 85% of the F1 media. And if you do that, you clearly can't expect getting a rosy reception in London. And it isn't just this. Verstappen's empty threats haven't helped his case either. As soon as Verstappen was punished in the swearing row, he said he might boycott F1 if the rules get strict. And these threats haven't stopped now either. The Dutch driver is threatening to boycott any F1 launch events in England in the future.
Max has no appetite for that, to be booed like that in front of 25,000 people. He also says, if this is in England next year, they definitely won't see me.
Sure, a world champion doesn't deserve to be booed, but it does feel like Verstappen seems to be inviting all the hate upon himself. Can he evade scrutiny after getting into standoffs with various squatters? because the world title alone is not enough to seal his legacy.
Time for last serve. Aston Martin revealed their car for the 2025 Formula One season. The unveiling was enough to ring alarm bells for the rest of the teams. The pacey, shiny new Aston Martin is there to give some tough competition. Take a look. That wraps up Firstpost here today. We've started this week on a pretty strong note. I'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, do take care. Bye-bye.
I have made the decision of a military operation.
Putin's aggression against Ukraine will end up costing Russia dearly.
Zelensky better move fast or he's not going to have a country left.